stand for the pledge of allegiance.
It is recorded.
Right. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Let's put the agenda on. Approval of the minutes from August. I have a copy of any comments, corrections, adjustments needed for the August 20th minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Harley?
Second.
Yeah, you think there's gonna be a pattern here tonight?
A little bit of that.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Two. Minutes are approved as written. Call for a public discussion or visitor comments or any other comments on topics not on the agenda. Once, twice. Good, old business. Township presence at the Harleysville Market. Grace, were you there? Was anyone else there?
I was there. I ran into Rob while I was there. I was manning the booth. It was raining a little bit, so I don't think turnout was as high as it could have been, but got really nice towards the end. Once again, people mostly came up asking for maps. I brought a big sign that had a QR code to have junior supervisors apply if they would like. A few people walked by who I thought were high school age, and I said, "Are you a high school junior or senior?" They said, "I'm 25. So I kind of, I wanted to stop offending people, so I didn't, chase them all down too hard. Because I know how it feels, but, so people still enjoy us being there. We'll be at the October market, which is going to be, I don't know if you've heard, it will be a larger event where we block off some of, I think it's School Road and a little bit of Park Ave, to connect from the community center through Booker Park to the fire department parking lot. Because the fire department will also have their open house. So we'll be stationed with the fire department and the police department. And yeah,
What date is that, Chris?
man, I think it's October 5th. Yeah, October 5th would be right. So again, people come and they're pleased that we're there. A lot of people kind of just come up to discuss their homes with developments in the area, which is okay, I understand. So I just kind of hear them out, tell them we're doing what we can to preserve open space as it comes up. So that's kind of the best I can do when those questions arise. But still people are generally happy to see us there, and I gave out a few of our cups. So that's that.
You're not gonna bring them either. Did you guys see them last? You didn't have them last time, right?
Didn't have them here last time.
No, I haven't seen the cups.
I do have some here if you guys want to grab one on the way out. Got you.
Great.
They're very
But
good.
definitely love to see.
So I have,
So,
same old,
So Chris, are there any needs from the committee that you have for the Harleysville market?
not as of now. There may be times. I suspect in the future, if bigger projects arise, I will have extra hands from the public works director and the assistant manager. If there are, questions from residents that I might not be well equipped to answer, but generally speaking, it's pretty slow. So I'm all set for now. I will let you know.
So it sounds like we've got a good rhythm, well established, and we can probably take it off of our old business for next time and just let you guys handle what you need until that situation changes. Awesome.
Is there? Is there any recurring questions? Or any kind of theme to the questions? That, you know, communication aspect we might be able to address, you know,
Right.
getting the same question over and over again, but maybe that means.
Well, when I did have people approach, or if I could kind of get to talking with someone, I did ask them where they got most of their township news from. And I did kind of have a few people sign up, if they weren't involved in our email list, but I would say printed newsletters, a lot of people get their information from, or social media, which are mostly our channels, but I would say, and I have my notes in there, newsletter, I believe was the most common form of getting news.
Are the questions that you get varied enough that we should compile them and add them to an FAQ or respond to them, you know, the adage that, you know, one person has that question, then probably 100 people have a question.
I would say no, because most of the questions have a time component to them because they're mostly development based. And something that they wouldn't necessarily be able to find on our website. So that would be a reoccurring or a question, I guess, that we would have to change constantly and adding to our website. In terms of development, I did make the interactive map, which you all saw. So
Very cool.
people have been really liking it. It's a good idea. So I would just point them to the island development and to our building and zoning officer for more specifics to their question, really. So,
I wish there was a way to express, besides what I'm doing right now, like how open and welcoming they are in like the building department and zoning, like to answer questions and just be available and provide all that, like there aren't any secrets. It's just, it's all out there. It's just a question of like, there's so much of it and it's so very specific that it's
Yeah.
hard for an individual with no background in it to come in and say, you know, what's this, how is this gonna affect me? What's this gonna do to me? There's no easy answer to that, I think. It's gonna be everybody on a case by case basis.
and the building and zoning department, they're so busy all the time. It's just really two of them, so, but they, unlike a lot of other townships, they will take your question on the spot, so they're great.
Totally agree. It's been my experience with them. I've worked with a few projects, and just thinking about a project, sometimes call them up, say, what are some considerations I should be considering as I consider this? And they're very frequent times. You know, not always had that experience in other townships. So this is kind of the related communications question, but so, and you touched on it, so people ask about development, we have the interactive map. What do we have that gives folks an idea about what we're doing in terms of preserving space?
We do have an open space map and we're in the process of approving a new open space map, future, what we hope to acquire in the future and kind of what's our next steps. And that will likely be rolling out sooner than later. I can't give an exact timeline, but there will be a new map for that. And I'm sure that's something we can probably print out and walk like a large poster and bring to a market, because nearly 23% of the township is preserved open space, which is great, and I don't think a lot of people know that, so a lot of people come to me and say, where will the children play? And it'd be nice to kind of show them where they can.
23%. It's really high number.
That would be,
4 square miles.
yeah, that would be agricultural, farm lands as well, that
But all preserved.
Yeah.
Under contract.
in some form permanently preserved or just township open space. They vary a little bit, but it's still, you can't develop it.
Township open space, including parks and. From a communications aspect. The developments, open space, what's happening in terms of that. I mean, that seems to be a really common thing. The one time we had a couple of guests, it was kind of heavily on that topic. Should we consider a quick reference guide focused on that? Like, a quick reference guide that it specifically has like, links to this map, links to this map, links to permission forms or, information access forms or, but a very specific quick reference that is all around that kind of question, because it seems to come up in one form or another
Yeah.
in the various venues.
That is probably. Some of those are definitely the largest questions the township gets asked, so I would be curious as to what kind of information we could put on that, but I tried reaching out to our neighboring municipalities about kind of a subdivision and land development. What would you call it? Process sheet so that people can really understand. We can't request something come into the township, or we don't have a say if there's going to be a Burger King or not. There's a process that we have to follow, and I think that is a misunderstanding or a misconception that we're approving things based on that, like, as if we want to see development when really it's private property and they can do as they please, so no other township has that process laid out in a consumable form, so that's probably something that I will have to do, and which is completely fine, and I just was looking to see if anyone had any reference since
Right.
Pennsylvania state laws are for all of municipalities.
But there's probably, as we kind of did with the other quick reference guide, there's probably a bunch of stuff on the website, or Montgomery County, or, connected areas that you'll probably collect into a quick reference guide, maybe with some QR codes. Not only distribute that, but then, when you get those kinds of questions, it's like, here, here's everything you want to know.
Good idea. Even if it's not our resources, like you said,
Yeah, right.
and link to outside.
Yeah.
So,
And when people do come up with these questions, it's probably because something's being built within 1,500 feet of their house or within 200 feet of the side of the road on their regular feet. Right, those are the things that prompt people to do this, and at that point, people want to be consoled, I think, and feel like they have an understanding, they have some sort of control over the process. So yeah, something like an infographic that just says, so there's a house getting developed next to you, like, happens to everybody, don't, this is a thing that's just part of life in the township, and here's how it works. I think that would go a long way to making people feel better.
One of the things that I stumbled on when I first moved here, was, I can't even remember the neighborhood, but there was an actual plan that was put together about where, I can't remember what year it was pulled together, but it was probably early 2000s of how things were going, what the approach was going to be to develop, right? Obviously, it's private property, it can't be prevented, but how, how they were going to approach it. And so some of, actually having read through that, it made a lot of things make sense of it, where I was, where you were seeing some of the development actually lined up with what was in that plan, so I think,
Yeah,
kind of knowing it demystifies in some level. If you just see the development pop up, then I think it can be, out of context, but it may not be easily understood. So from a communications perspective, of trying to figure out how to disseminate some of this information so that people can understand that there is a plan. It's not necessarily just happening to us. We're trying to manage something that's fundamentally not really in the township's control.
And all that said, Lower Southwood must be doing something right, because I hear much less on social media complaining about the process than in neighboring townships. I think, there's a lot more openness here already towards that, and that people recognize that and feel like, okay, there's some product of control here for, availability of information that we have for us.
Okay,
Well, I think just lastly, I think that as you develop, the target list and all that stuff, is that something that you would plan on bringing here
Yeah.
for discussion?
I would definitely,
I mean, I certainly welcome the opportunity to just have a pair of eyes on it, and let you know just how it feels as a resident, But I'm sure, I don't want to speak for the other members of the committee, but I mean, I think that that's something we would be, certainly happy to assist with, because you said, it's coming up all the time, with people around the adults and the actors,
you ever stumble upon a resource that seems digestible to an average resident and you want to send it my way, I can look and see if it's something we can include. But I will myself have to do a lot of research and planning to get something like a web info. So an infographic,
yeah,
I think would be,
maybe put that as a topic for the next.
Yeah.
I think that sounds, do we need to take a motion on that?
No, yeah, it's just just an general topic.
Shall we go maybe do it, am I ready to go? That works too.
Meantime, we kind of do a little bit of research and know how we, next one time, more speeds. We have that, start that conversation. Yeah. Any further? Okay, so all that started with the markets. Any other questions, comments in terms of the township presence at the Harley's Mall? All right, request form for printable materials.
you all should have a copy. It was something, the text is what Kevin sent over to me. I just gave it a QR code and a letterhead. And if this is good to go in everyone's eyes, then it will be up to, I think, Kevin and John to distribute them.
Yeah, but I think the intention was to kind of pilot it a little bit first, take it out to some of the residential areas. And then kind of build one.
Only thing I have for this is, something I brought up in the last meeting, which is making sure that when this form eventually will disappear or become something new, and I think that these QR and links should go somewhere on to the Lower Southwood Township.org. Just, if only to say, we're sorry this pilot program has ended, but here are some alternatives, because if you turn off a Google form and this is the only thing they pull out of their drawer 12 months from now and go, oh, I would actually like some forms,
Yeah.
and then it's, sorry, this form's not available, and obviously there's phone numbers and stuff on here, people are not without the ability to do it, but.
Sure.
That is my suggestion.
right?
I did, took it right there.
Okay, good. Any questions, comments, adjustments to the request for mineral materials?
I have none.
Whatever you said.
Okay. All right. Then I guess we are in a position to kind of officially, unofficially start our pilot program. Right, so as soon as Kevin and I can hook up and get it out, we'll see how it goes.
Sure, I will just change the QR code to go directly to our website, and I will send you copies, you have access to printers, or I can print them here if you wanna come pick them up, so.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the printable materials? Junior supervisor program,
We are closing the application period on Friday. We've received 2 full applications. I think. So I sent to, the school district to get out to the homeschool juniors and seniors of the area, as well as the high school. Kind of guidance counselor, who is the one that deals with the internships and externships of the high school. And they both confirmed that all the emails got delivered. And alluded to, we might have some late applications come in or a day of applications come in, so we'll see. And nonetheless, we have 2 very good candidates, and the board recommended that we have up to 2, so. We will let kind of the board decide from there. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of people approaching. My little sign at the market, I did try to speak to as many people as I could, but guessing ages is kind of hard, so. A lot of people did stop to read it, and it's been out on every newsletter, every social media. So. I'm open to any suggestions in the future. I know it made it to some Facebook groups, and a lot of people in the office shared it with their local community groups, so. Maybe there wasn't a large interest, or maybe we can do better next time.
So I'm having this thought now in terms of Facebook groups, but if you haven't utilized it, the Moms of Harleysville is really truly fantastic in terms of getting information, sharing information. I don't know why that run didn't fire off at the last meeting when we were talking about that. That's a great place to go and get the word out about that.
Yeah, I would. I guess only ask that it is shared by a fellow resident, though I am a resident, I also work here, so I would. Next time if we have to share something, maybe it could come from one of you, if you guys are in the group, or you know someone in the group, that would probably be helpful. But.
Yeah, I think that's had this be shared. I like it. Shared. That's something like that, but I should have thought about that. That's a channel that you can kind of keep in our back pockets. They are really good about getting information out, sharing.
Yeah, I've heard of the group.
And my experience in distributing that information was that everybody was super receptive, really wants this program to succeed, but that was all adults responding. So, hopefully these 2 or more candidates who show up and participate and give us some ideas moving forward, how to better reach out and position these things. I think it's hard for us to remember what we were thinking all those many years ago.
just any indication for the 2 applicants we had, any indication how they heard about the program?
I know. Well, I have seen one of the names family member name pop up on a lot of our social media likes, so I'm assuming that way, and they're also a very involved member in our community center. And received letters of recommendations from people who work at the community center, so I'm guessing that was a close relationship, but the other one, I'm not so sure.
Any other questions, comments in terms of the junior supervisor? program? And the CGov highlights?
That'll be me.
Would you like? Which one of the first? The,
Yeah, we'll do the slideshow. And I'll talk through some of this and then I'll show you a little snippet that we put together.
Tell the on where overload.
yes, I think there should be, it might be labeled right in front of you. No.
That's nice. It's the big change.
That is nice. Here it goes once again.
So I'll start out by saying this is not as much a presentation about this specific product. But I want to show everybody what AI and AI enabled systems are capable of today for the purposes of conveying information about local governments and local government action to people in a more digestible format. So as you look through this, know that, you know, these are technologies that are easily available. It happens to be in this package that I came across and thought would be a great intersection for Lower Southford. So this is the homepage of CGov. Give you a little introduction. This is a project founded by a software industry fellow out of Raleigh, North Carolina. He had the idea to use AI to provide this access to local meetings, got some grants, and he's been working on this as a nonprofit project associated with a large number of groups trying to get this thing off the ground. So we go to the next slide here. So this is the core of the system. We pulled in a Lower Southford Board of Supervisors meeting from July 2nd. And what this system will do immediately is take a full transcript. So it'll take all of the spoken word, try to identify the speakers as best it can from context, put that all in the transcript on the side. Doesn't get everybody right the first time. As subsequent meetings occur, you can see an improvement in how it identifies people. And obviously, if we say, hey, Grace, and then Grace speaks, the system is more likely to pull that information up. So this section on the bottom takes the sections of the meeting that it thinks coincide with each other. So it'll try to get agenda items together, has access to an agenda, so we'll use that. Again, sometimes it gets the names wrong. It'll also give a score to say whether it's likely to be interesting to the public. So if we go on to the next slide, this is filtering by likely. So the most likely things that people will be interested in, and this corresponds to Grace's experience at the market, is development, right? Why is this conditional use? What is it about? What are the details of it? Additional resolutions. Move forward a little bit through there. So then as a user of this system, I'm able to make a selection with those checkboxes over there, and anybody who used the tool would be able to do the same thing based on those summaries, whether or not that seemed like an interesting thing to include in the final video product. So once those are all selected, we go into the individual ones. So this first slide that I'm showing you here is the fire chief. I believe it's the fire chief. And so what that's done is identify the block where the fire chief is speaking, you can select the specific things, and then down below, it's actually put together what it thinks is an interesting introduction to that particular moment. And the next slide I have is also, let's see, okay, skip EMS and moved on to Mr. Shelley. Basically talking about the communications committee, the things that we're doing. Again, it makes a moment intro that you can edit. You know, what's actually happening in that, and you can pick and choose the actual words that you want to see in that flips to included side. So if there's a block that you don't want to, you can do 2 parts from a particular section. So moving on. Once all of those flips are selected, it's going to keep them in chronological order of how the meeting happened. It's going to ask if you want to add some parting words, a specific headline, short descriptions, and it actually comes up with a social media post. Which you don't have to accept any of this stuff, you get to pick and choose or edit. And then the topics that are specific to this video, and there's a ton of potential topics that could be in the individual videos. So moving along. Once that's all done, generates the movie behind the scenes. Again, gives you a potential set of social media posts based on what happened and the things that you selected. And a potential description for that reel. And then within this site, and you don't have to even export the videos and do whatever you want with them, but within this site, it'll actually give the clippings of the 4 or 5 things that you've decided were interesting from the meeting, and allow you to go directly to those, share those directly if you want to, or watch the full video just one after another. And in the bottom of that, you can see, and that's on the next slide as well, but on the bottom, you can see fire and EMS, municipal services, planning and zoning. So somebody could, of particular interest, do that. And then these are the intro blocks where a voice will describe what's about to happen, give some context for the clip that's about to follow, and then plays the clip from the meeting. And I think there's one more page. So this is what I thought was the really cool part of this, and the potential for social media engagement is to create these vertical videos like shorts for Facebook, TikTok, those services where you might pull 60 seconds, 45 seconds of a specific thing, puts a highlight over there, and then does the captions on top of that. So as you're hearing about the fire call or the performance of Freedom Valley or a specific item, those are incorporated within that video. Any questions about these slides before I think Grace can play the movie demo, but does anybody want any more information about what they've seen so far?
You're watching highlights of a Lower Salt.
Well, they actually took the one supervised meeting through the process.
So that's what you're about to see.
And how long did it take you for that?
About 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And that's from zero experience with this.
You're watching highlights of a Lower Salford Board of Supervisors meeting on July 2nd, 2025. Follow your local governments at cgov.org.
The meeting is called to order by Supervisor Bergman.
I would call to order the July 2nd, 2025 meeting of Lower Salford Board of Supervisors, and ask everyone to join me in pledge allegiance.
The fire chief shared a detailed look at last month's emergency calls. Let's see what kept them busy.
We had a pretty busy month. We had 47 calls, 23 were during the day, 24 at night. We had 16 fire alarms, 9 electrical fire outside, 4 building fire non-commercial, 2 building fire commercial, 2 CO detectors, 2 gas odor leaks inside, 2 officer investigations, 2 special services, 2 vehicle rescues, and then 1 of each of the following: appliance fire, building investigation, gas odor outside, general rescue, trash dumpster fire, and water rescue. 36 of these calls were in Lower Salford, 5 in Franconia, 5 in Talminson, and 1 in Marlboro. We provided mutual aid 8 times and received it 9. And we had a total fire personnel response of 482, averaging 10.26 firefighters per call, with 27 hours and 4 minutes in service.
Rescue Chief Haynes broke down the numbers behind a busy month of emergency calls.
So I'm reporting on May. We had 394 total dispatches, 80 of those were recalls and 190 were transports. For the month of May in Lower Southford Township, we were dispatched to our first due 115 times. We were only medic assisted 4 of those times, because our other truck was out. So, total dispatches for Freedom Valley, actually, with all the mutual aid was 209 times. We were dispatched in Lower Southford, 108, and outside of Lower Southford, 71 times. We were recalled by 345, 49 of those times, and recalled by other 4 times. So, we received mutual aid 19 times in the month of May. And we provided mutual aid 18 of those times. We covered the agencies of Skipback and VMSC.
Supervisor Shelley shared a creative idea to get more residents involved at the upcoming market. Here's how they plan to draw a crowd.
Couple of exciting things happening. One for the Harleysville market coming up, we were trying to explore different ways of letting people know what's happening in our township. We have great things on our websites, great things you can sign up for, you can hear people watching as well. And one of the things we thought of was having maybe a raffle to attract people in the market. Just give away a lower salary pair, and I'm sure perhaps all people have to do is come off, sign up for the, I'll say about that. If they're signed up for that, they get entering in the raffle. And we hope to announce the winner at our next communication committee meeting to encourage people to watch that as well.
A proposal for a new addition to a well-known local church came before the board. Here's what was presented.
With the church, but it's located on Crossmill Road, has been there for many years. Property's improved by the church building, a cemetery, an existing parking area. And what they're proposing is a accessory pavilion structure. It's permitted by initial use on the property as an accessory non-residential structure.
Motion made, seconded, and approved for Salford Mennonite Church to build an outdoor pavilion.
To approve additional use, presented the Salford Mennonite Church. I'm glad their growing congregation have a need for this. And I wish they did not have to go through this process, but that's a matter for another time.
Sorry.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
New business brought a series of quick decisions on parade support, land preservation, and a committee appointment.
New business, motion to approve fire police assistants to Skipback Township for their July 4th parade upcoming.
Make that motion to authorize, don't do the weather, will be left today.
Move to second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, the appointment of Rob Carlson to the Communications Committee.
Make a motion to appoint, Mr. Carlson to the Communications Committee. We're grateful for his willingness to serve and been very impressed that he has been a diligent attender of our meetings, whether it's via Zoom or in person, so thank you.
Cool.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Oh,
All right, next up, authorization to execute Clever Land Preservation Agreement.
make a motion to authorize the execution of final land preservation agreement.
Aye. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
A supervisor raised a concern about how local regulations might affect nonprofits and community institutions.
Need for the regulation on non-residential accessory structures. If we can figure out a carve out for what would be institutional use such as churches, such as that, I think. To me, that was not necessary process for what the actual use for being. I need to see a nonprofit such as that using their funds to pay for that versus something that's maybe better than here. You know, I mean, and it's an unfortunate thing, because oftentimes that all gets caught up, what really good regulations for specific things. But they sometimes have a broader net and, we just think we're.
That's a wrap. Keep an eye out for future highlights from Lower Salford Township.
Thank you for watching CGov.
So that was 6 minutes and. I want to say 6 minutes and 5 seconds of a meeting, which was somewhere around 55 minutes, I think. Definitely could have done a tighter cut of something like that, but it gives you the idea of what folks would typically be interested in, which I think is fire, medical, zoning changes, and then, you know, anything out of the ordinary that people might want to see. So again, this is my presentation to all of you as to what is out there and what AI is capable of as being an assistive technology for the purposes of helping local governments to communicate better with their constituents. Any questions?
No, I don't know if this is a question, statement, or an observation, to be honest about that. But how easy is it to pull out those little sort of, you know, TikTok or little type snippets?
Very easy. At the end of it, I think there wouldn't even be a pulling out. It would be something that would post directly to whatever the social media was. It's not a primary function of this particular product, but certainly you see it. It exists. It is a functional piece of technology that can take a look at a YouTube video that's 60 minutes long, take 45 seconds out and make a TikTok out of it. Food for thought, right?
It sure has the moves to ring. Very, very impressive.
I will likely show this to our IT guy and our manager and kind of see where their thoughts are, and then we'll report back. But I thought it was very cool.
And I don't think there's any restriction on who can make an account. So you feel if somebody signs up there, and there should be some Lower Southford Township clips already in the form of what you saw there. So feel free to play around.
Awesome. Good fun.
We have any idea how much the current full-length videos are?
7 to 20 times, I would say on average. Which brings me kind of to my next question. Do you know if there's a cost associated or what that might look like?
For this product in particular, there's no cost.
Okay,
It's founded, it's a nonprofit organization with this purpose specifically to
so
help.
you just wanna help.
They just want to help, they just want to get local government meetings out to the public in a more consumable fashion. Doesn't speak to, you know, how long this particular product would be around, just that it's products like this are out there and organizations like that are out there who want to support what we're doing.
Is that, is it, it's living here? Figuratively, here, but, is it exportable to like an MP4 that you could upload to?
That's what I did for Grace, because I was gonna present it from my laptop here.
So that's what she presented, that's not actually native on CGov.
Correct. The video, she just played it right off of the computer, could be flipped and put in any number of different formats after the AI review.
So that there's no, even if you were to use it, if you had good housekeeping around the police generating the MP4 is wired to go away, you'd still be in possession of that information.
So as the communication, sure a couple tonight. Do we want to express support for the product as Grace takes this to the township manager, where is she going with the message that, hey, this communication committee looked at this, they thought it was useful, productive, a good tool, etc. You know, we are putting our backing, that nature behind, behind this approach, this product.
So I would put our backing behind the approach with the product as an example. Right, this is what's out there right now. This is the tool. Generally, you know, I would love if everybody felt the way about local government that I do. But that's the mission, is to compact these things into a consumable form in whatever application that may or may not happen to take in the future. Like, I think the mission's correct, and that's what we should get behind.
So is the message that, we support the concept, the mission, what we're trying to do in terms of making local government more digestible, whether it's this tool or another tool. If they want us to continue investigating, in other words, what other tools are out there, what other options do we have? Are we making ourselves available? That comes back as the feedback. We would then take that on as a project. That where we are with this.
I already said something.
Yeah, I'm formulating the thoughts, so I have it thinking out loud, but, yeah, for me, like, I would wholeheartedly endorse project. It's just a full-length YouTube video, 60 or 90 minutes on out there is, difficult for someone to digest and get bits out of. And then the real endorsement I have is around the ability to pull out these sort of salient TikToks or reels. Is that from the communications perspective, just that little snippet and the overdub around what fire departments, what rescue is doing, I think makes the work of the borough and the ancillary bodies within it a little bit more digestible. And especially if it's going to do the work for you, when you edit it like the old days, trying to edit down TikTok. I think that I would certainly be very comfortable with endorsing the use of these types of tools. And then in terms of what communications committee can do, would be to try and figure out if you're using the tool, whatever that tool is, if it's maybe something else, whatever tool it is we use, if we get some communicating snippets out of that in terms of reels, how we start to decide to disseminate users. I think that's the real takeaway for me, is just seeing how you can pull those things out and very, very quickly.
One of the things that I noticed is that going through a couple of the meetings is the size and shape of this room doesn't encourage some of the speakers like the fire chief and Freedom Valley chief to get in front of a microphone or in a place where they're actually the ones speaking to that particular clip. And I think, that would be a long-term thing to say, hey, if we want more impactful stuff, we may need to get people to face the camera and be selectable from that screen so that people are seeing the face of Colleen Haynes and the face of Chief Mace. So we talked it out, and so I would move that we send it up to I guess at this point, just the administrator to say, we think this is a strong tool for the township this is a strong type of tool for the township to look into to increase engagement. And we put our support behind it.
I would second that.
I don't know if we can do the motion, but as long as it's motioned and seconds, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. So. Place, you have our support and backing as you take this to the township, with that kind of that's. We think the online video channel is an important channel for our residents. That a 2-hour YouTube video is a good first step, but too hard for most people to consume. that a tool, this tool or a tool like it. Makes that information, you know, more consumable. Okay, good stuff.
Maybe we
Okay,
can
so,
fill Terry and Kevin in on what happened in this meeting via this.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So,
the clips.
yeah. Okay, so that should go on next month's agenda also as a follow-up. Hopefully, you know, you have some feedback in terms of what they think, whether they support the concept and whether, you know, we have an action item then to pursue it further to provide the township more information in terms of its use as a communication. Okay. All right, that's it for old business. New business. Lower Southward PA.hosted.civiclive.com website. Just showing up.
Yeah, so this was an observation that I made over the last month since the last meeting. We're still seeing search results come back for the old layout. And I'm not sure if that's something that host has the capability to turn those off, or if there's a reason why some of the residual things are there. What I don't want to see happen is for somebody to come across a piece of information there by searching for it and find a completely separate old site and work off of that.
This is actually a little complicated, for two reasons. One, our current web provider has told us numerous times, don't worry, it will go away over time. Not much that he can do about it. And because it was supposed to take this domain and URL that it was going to phase out over time. And we made it seem like by now it would be resolved. The issue with the old website is that the platform we use has been bought so many times that there's no way, we've tried, for us to communicate with anyone who would have anything to do with the old website, if that makes sense. It was Civic Live, now it's Powerhouse School, which is a, if you use SourtonSD.org, their online, like, parent portal, that's what it's used for, so. And in between now and then, it's been bought many times, so it's very, very hard for us to reach someone that can actually help us. I will give our current website guy a call again and see if there's anything else that he knows of, but I know that it's just really, right now, unfortunate that some old results still pop up because people who were frequently visiting the old website probably run into that issue a little bit more than newer residents or people who are newer to the website, so. That's my update. I will dig into it more.
So I'll give you two pieces of information here. So one is that it's not gonna go away because that site is still serving out the pages. If it wasn't, that sentiment would be true because eventually all of the search engines would check it, see that it was no longer responding and remove it from the list. But it is responding, it is an active site. My second suggestion from that you might want to bring up the pipe is if the township has copyrighted materials such as photographs and other things that were created by the township, a DMCA request to the owner of civiclive.com would get some attention. And that attention would probably simply result in them saying, we don't want any trouble. We're gonna figure out where this is and get rid of it. So, you know, if this was me, right, and there was a website with my stuff on it, and I wanted to get rid of it, that would be one of the avenues that I would potentially follow to get rid of those. But that's really just a suggestion. And that's all I have for that.
Okay. Anything else? Any other new business? For the committee. Next meeting is. That okay, October 15th. I will not. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
All right, second,
Seconded.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You sure?
I mean, now that you.
Alright. So it's motion passed, we're closed at 25 after. Thanks everyone. Good evening.